to Evolving Your Business Through Digital First Architectures, a webinar hosted by G-Core Labs and Equinix. Thanks first of all to everyone for joining. Today, we'll be looking at the technological challenges faced by online businesses when scaling regionally and globally. What should the IT infrastructure of success-oriented companies look like? Why does Nitrado, the world's leading game server hosted provider, choose G-Core Labs and Equinix solutions? I'm your host, Mark Sparrow. I lived and worked in London, Hong Kong. I'm now based in France. I'm a management and communications consultant that spent a lot of time helping technology businesses to expand in the key markets across Europe and Asia. As the pandemic recedes, what does the business and commercial landscape look like? We've got a lot of leading economies that are experiencing a strong rebound from the effects of the pandemic. They're enjoying periods of fast growth and returning to sizes of economy that are bigger than they were pre-pandemic. COVID-19, as we know, drove permanent shifts in behavior, that we found new ways of doing things, and those new ways of doing things professionally and personally slowly became habits over the period that the lockdown restrictions were in place. These days, people in markets across the world are more likely to access services digitally, and we've got a world of hybrid work emerging. As leaders look at their business forecasts and look to capitalize on these trends, one of the key considerations will be expanded digital services to new markets. Clearly, there are a lot of aspects to international expansion, people, regulation, local preferences. In an age where every business is a technology business, technology infrastructure is going to be one of the key issues that businesses are going to look at. And it won't just be about the tech. You know, how are you going to change the business to be able to capitalize on new consumer and business demands? And there's also geopolitical uncertainty that may also need to be a factor that we'll need to consider. So those are the themes for our discussion today. And we're going to bring some of those lessons to life with a customer case study from Nitrado. I'm joined today for the discussion by Andre Reitenbach, the CEO at G-Core Labs, by Michel Ludolph, Global Solutions Architect at Equinix, by Seva Vayner, Director of Edge Cloud Stream at G-Core Labs, and Felix Oechsler, the CTO of Nitrado. Hello there, gentlemen. Before we begin, just a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded. We will make the recording available after the webinar for those attendees and people who couldn't attend. We are going to arrange a Q&A or host a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you have any questions, please insert them in the chat box, the question box at the bottom of your screen. With that said, we'll start the debate. So let me hand over to Andre Reitenbach, CEO of G-Core Labs, and he's going to look at some of the specific challenges of scaling online businesses internationally. Over to you, Andre.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Reitenbach. I'm CEO of a company called G-Core Labs. And today I want to speak about challenges for scaling of online businesses. I guess this is our main focus from the past. Our company actually was founded in 2014. And back in the days when the world was cloud, we lived already edge because our business comes from gaming, from entertainment, and gaming entertainment always required big infrastructure, local presence, low latency, security, and global coverage, and especially permanent availability. So we had about 8 years to build this, but the world has changed, and more businesses, and not only from entertainment, requiring global coverage and especially in a cloud-native era, permanent availability and instant availability of services to try the businesses, to try the startups, to try the services. So it's not only about gaming entertainment anymore. And especially since COVID, as mentioned by Mark, the world rapidly changed. It was totally accelerated. And we're seeing more and more from our customers that they looking also into global coverage, and they define for them new markets to be successful with their businesses. According to this slide, to this chart, almost 80% of our customers looking into expansion. But right now, time to market is the most important part. And we had a lot of time to build this. We had our issues, we had our challenges to overcome. And most of the companies right now don't have this time to build this infrastructure. So they look they should have somebody who could help them to try their businesses, to try their tries, and to try if they can be successful in other regions. And we see that most of the customers, and what we know from the respondents of this questionnaire, and most of the customers see that, and companies see that there's a huge demand on new infrastructure, new capacities worldwide. On top of this, the global presence and global expansion, they're facing more competition. So it pushed them to expand in new markets, to be successful and to be more competitive. And on top of this, especially since COVID, we see that more and more DDoS attacks and cybersecurity threats are appearing on the market, because more and more businesses relying on online services, and the revenue comes from internet. So cybersecurity is a big impact on revenue and successful existence in the internet world. And of course, rapid deployment of infrastructure, it's really important. You cannot wait for months or for years to build this up, and because the competition is just over there. And especially in the gaming environment, we see a situation that you have really demand on specific time, especially at Christmas time over the year end, where you have significant peaks on capacities you require, and over the next time not. So to have all this infrastructure built by your own, by yourself, it's probably not really a good solution. On top of this, of course, all of this capacity increased dramatically because the bottom line is right now higher than the top line of previous years, especially because of the COVID. So what are the keys and what are the main services to use in order to try this out and to use it on global scale? It's of course the edge computing, it's edge storage, so you can store the data in all over the world in all cases, just to comply with GDPR on the local rules. You need CDN for heavy load of data. You need streaming platform and to stream your data if you're in this business. And altogether, of course, you need security and DDoS protection to keep your service up and running and available 24/7. So all of this is focus of our company, and we help other companies to grow without building their own infrastructure. So, and in the future, we see new trends which will even more demanding this global scale infrastructure. And there are several trends along with all known Web 3.0 services and VIR and edge infrastructure services. But really the big growth is coming from AI. We believe that AI will be the main driving point for the edge services, and it will be necessary for all kinds of services to make it better and to make it faster and help you to compete on all markets. This will change the world rapidly. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre. Just interesting on that final slide for you to cover some of the future trends that influence where kind of infrastructure requirements will go next. And I'm aware that is a world that Equinix is preparing for. I'm going to introduce now Michel Ludolph, Global Solutions Architect at Equinix. He's going to talk us through how Equinix solutions and infrastructure can help businesses grow globally, just leading on from that introduction from Andre. So thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Mark. So, hello, nice to meet you all. My name is Michel Ludolph, Global Solutions Architect based out of Amsterdam for Equinix. And I'm going to present you now our view on what a modern infrastructure looks like. So within Equinix, we have developed our own framework called interconnection-oriented architecture. And our philosophy you see depicted here. So we distinguish in between, before interconnection and with interconnection. And like Andre mentioned earlier, it's all about core and edge deployment. It's about interconnectivity. And as Equinix, we are a strong believer of a distributed environment. So rather than, for instance, centralizing your applications or your data in one central location, and for instance, have 10 racks in one data center, we say deploy there where your customers are, where your cloud connectivity are, where your partners are, where your ecosystem of network providers are. Think distributed. And this is what we try to preach with the interconnection-oriented architecture, design your network in such a way that you think of interconnection first. Yeah. And you see that depicted here on the right-hand side. And what most of our customers do when they distribute their network across the globe, they interconnect that via either carrier lines, but also via our own fabric, Equinix fabric as we call it, because we deliver point-to-point connection in between each of our data centers in a software-defined way. And what you find in most occasions is that many of our customers get twice the bandwidth against half the cost. And why is that? Because as you can imagine, within an Equinix data centers, there are so many carriers, there's such a huge ecosystem of interconnectivity providers that you can basically choose and pick that provider that offers you the best commercial conditions. And as a consequence of that, because you have so many choices, you can pick and choose to go with that provider that offers you the best connectivity. Yeah. So let me move forward to the next slide. This is our infrastructure on top of which our customers deploy their network and their infrastructure. As you can see here, we have presence globally with more than 230 data centers. Our ecosystem is all about availability. So you see here these black dots. Each dot is a metro, and each metro is comprised of multiple data centers. Now, as you can see here, we have over 65 metros and an uptime record of 5 nines, which means that any of our data centers hardly ever goes down. And that enables us to offer our customers, including G-Core, the best performance and the most reliable connectivity, but also the most reliable services, because in fact, it's always available, it's always there. And the nice thing about it, as I mentioned earlier, all these metros are interconnected via what we call Equinix Fabric. And with this, you can build your global backbone, interconnecting the metros where you choose to co-locate. And the nice thing about it, it's also verified. I have a telecoms background. Before I joined Equinix, I was working for a big telecoms provider. And at the time, when you needed to build the connectivity from, for instance, let's say Chicago to Amsterdam, you would go via a 1 year or a 3 year contract, order it, and then if you were lucky, within 6 weeks or 3 months, the connection would be available. What we can do nowadays with Equinix Fabric is offer you this point-to-point connection instantly. So what you can do, you can go to the Fabric portal, choose your source, choose your destination, choose the bandwidth that you want to have, and then within a few minutes, you can connect to yourself from an A location to a B location. And besides that, what you can also do, and the next slide will elaborate further on that, you can connect into any cloud provider. Yeah. And to finalize with this slide, Equinix is committed to sustainability. The majority of our data centers that we operate from use green energy only, and the majority of power we consume is to actually provide our customers with the electricity they need to have the systems up and running. There's only a small amount we need from a power perspective to cool everything. So which means that the power usage effectiveness from Equinix data centers is really effective and really low. So let me elaborate on what the ecosystem looks like. So here on the left frame, you see what a typical infrastructure within Platform Equinix look like. So you can imagine the red square that you see here. That's basically a simplified, representation of an Equinix data center. And what many of our customers do, they have the co-location inside our data center, which means they rent rack space, power and cooling, and then install their own equipment. Sometimes they still need to connect back into the headquarters or branch offices or legacy data centers. We can accommodate via our network service providers that host with us within Equinix. But more importantly, we also need to connect into the cloud. Now, there's many cloud providers with us within Equinix. Obviously, G-Core Labs providing their services via Platform Equinix. But there's also Azure, Oracle, Google Cloud, AWS, and in fact, many, many others. There's no other company as Equinix that has so many cloud on-ramps globally. So what you see here, this infrastructure, if you look at the previous slide, everywhere where you saw a black dot, you could connect into the cloud. And everywhere where you see the black dot, this infrastructure as depicted here is available. Equinix Fabric, as you see here in the middle, is basically the starting point. So what you do as a customer, you order a Fabric port, you then get access to the Fabric portal, and via the Fabric portal, you get instant access to all these cloud providers. And instant means really within a few minutes. It's fully automated, the provisioning, but also the nice thing about it, the latency is really low. And as Andre mentioned, obviously, low latency is really important. If you do gaming, if you want to have, really reliable and fast operating applications, low latency is the utmost importance. This is all private connectivity, which means that we can offer really high bandwidths, up to 10 gig dedicated for you. Don't go via the internet, this is private connectivity. Now, on top of that, you can leverage what we call network edge. Network edge are virtual network devices that include the vendors that you see here and the network devices enumerated. So we offer virtual appliances. Checkpoint, Cisco, Uniper, Palo Alto, all these brands are available. And for you as the customer, it means that you no longer need to rack and stack and ship your equipment. You can simply spin up a device and it becomes instantly available. Yeah. And on top of that, you can also deploy in the same way application servers. No need to rack and stack it, no need to ship it. It's pre-deployed. The only thing you need to do as a customer is go to the portal, spin up the device, and then you will be ready to go within 5 and 10 minutes. If you take a closer look at Equinix Metal, you will find you can deploy VMware on top of that. We collaborate together with Equinix. Nice thing about this is that with a few mouse clicks, you can basically deploy a global infrastructure. You could deploy your appliances anywhere because we offer this globally. And that's quite unique. Within a few mouse clicks, within a few hours, you're ready to go with the global deployment. So let me go to the next slide, just to give you an example on how we collaborate with G-Core Labs. So the story I've just told you, this is exactly what G-Core Labs has done on top of our infrastructure. They co-locate with us in multiple locations across multiple regions, interconnect via Fabric to either cloud or provide services to you as a customer via Fabric, providing content delivery, content streaming, gaming platforms, all against low latency, low jitter, high bandwidth connectivity, and also, I must say, at a very cost-efficient infrastructure. Because in the end, if you connect via Equinix Fabric, it's very cost-efficient. And on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, the lead times are really low. So if you want to connect, for instance, to a G-Core Labs environment, you can do it instantly via the portal, via the Fabric portal. It will be available to you in a few minutes. And to finalize off, just to summarize what I just told you, if you choose to co-locate with Equinix and choose to leverage Fabric, Network Edge, and Metal, you will see it's very simple. It's really agile, it's on demand via software-defined portal. No need for long-term commitments. You can easily scale up, scale down, modify, create, delete virtual circuit. It's consistent. The service that we offer to you is a global service, so no matter where you are, you will always have the same experience. It's partner rich. We offer connectivity to over 200 cloud providers. It's all self-service, so it's an on-demand service that you operate yourself. There's no dependency of our NOC or anybody else. You are in full control of what you want to do. You simply select the one you want to connect with. We call that commercial ready, and then you're ready to go. You can combine physical and virtual together, physical to colo on-prem deployment, and then on top of that, the virtual, the network edge devices, and the metal devices. And the nice thing about it, and you'll probably recognize that, nowadays everything is software defined, which means also that you can fully automate this infrastructure. We offer our services also via APIs, and via these APIs, you can automate this connectivity, for instance, leveraging capabilities of a platform like, for instance, Terraform or Puppet or any other automation platform that you want to use. So that's it for me today. I'm going to give it back to you, Mark, and introduce you, leave it up to you to introduce the next speaker. Thanks for your attention and hope to speak to you soon.
Cool. Thank you very much for that, Michel. Very, very informative. Michel touched at the end there on the capabilities of the G-Core Labs and Equinix partnership, the joint capabilities. I'm going to hand over now to Seva Vayner, Director of Edge Cloud Stream at G-Core Labs, and he's going to look more closely at G-Core Labs global infrastructure solutions and really bring to life how G-Core Labs enables businesses to go global faster. Over to you, Seva.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Felix, good afternoon. My name is Seva Vayner, and I'm responsible for the Edge Cloud solution in G-Core Labs. And today I will talk more about G-Core and Equinix solution, how to handle customers' requirements based on our global coverage with Equinix. We are a global edge cloud provider, and our main advantage is coverage. Was made possible with Equinix Data Center and Equinix Fabric. We provide more than 140 plus point of presence around the globe with the modern CPU and the special processors for the natural languages and AI solutions. We have 100 plus terabit network capacity to provide 100 million plus simultaneous users in the Metaverse and provide advanced DDoS protection to protect Metaverse map and server or any multiplayer game online. That was especially important to have the possibility to provide the single connectivity between the regions around the globe via Equinix Fabric and Interconnect. Also, important part is the data processing and storing data that we provide the data in use encryption technology to protect and encrypt user data in all levels. Also to encrypt RAM and block access to any kind of not permitted application. We have our own data sets and technology for analyzing and storing data lakes in our edge cloud and learning in real time. Federation and the single API enable the option to manage Metaverse infrastructure from a single place and many regions as one cluster. And our API platform grants the access to the latest hardware to train the ML models in real time and inference in edge locations and the media platform to live streaming the purposes. So as an edge cloud provider, so we deliver all edge infrastructure layers. So we're starting with the colocation for advanced customers based on Equinix data center and our colocation service to provide fully automatized solution from the dashboard or REST API or Terraform provider to manage your infrastructure as a code. Provide infrastructure services like virtual instances, bare metal, load balancers, and direct connect via Equinix Fabric. Platform services like AI infrastructure, managed Kubernetes, centralized logging system, or function as a service for serverless architecture. Advanced DDoS protection for any application and services. So we provide a specific profile to the end application to protect and filter non-legitimate traffic, and deliver your content around the globe with our powerful CDN with 140 plus point of presence and deliver your content less than 30 milliseconds. And of course, Intel Technologies helped us to deliver the global infrastructure view. We committed to provide our customers with the first-class solution based on cutting-edge technologies. And how we help with our services to build the global multiplayer gaming solution. With magnificent pleasure, I give the word to Felix from Nitrado. Felix?
Thank you, Seva. Yeah, as Seva mentioned, we've got Felix Oechsler now, the CTO of Nitrado, who's going to talk through in a little bit more detail about how G-Core Labs and Equinix enables Nitrado to tackle some of the specific technology challenges of the entertainment and gaming sector.
Thank you very much, Mark, and welcome everyone. I'm Felix, I'm the CTO at Nitrado. And with our three brands, Nitrado, Apex, and MC Pro Hosting, we are the leading global provider in game server hosting. We host servers for big titles like Minecraft, Ark, DayZ, Farming Simulator, and what you can do, you can basically rent a server on our website, and you can customize it for your friends and then hop on and play your favorite game. That's our main business. And with more than 300,000 game servers in 10 data centers worldwide, we are providing the best possible user experience to all our customers. In combination with our successful business products, Enterprise Console and Steel Shield, we take care of seamlessly operating of some of the biggest games in the industry. Headquartered in Karlsruhe, Germany, Marco Balle and Marcel Bösendorfer founded the company 20 years ago and grew it to the category leader it is today. Currently, we employ 170 employees worldwide across many different countries and across all our 3 brands. We have 10 co-locations worldwide, which are fully operated by us. And of course, with our strong partners, G-Core and Equinix, we built them up. Not every one of them, but 3 in particular, especially in the last 12 months. We are proud and we are happy that we successfully launched Tokyo as a new location and Sao Paulo just some weeks ago. And both of these locations are very, very successful right from the beginning. And our newest location, Dallas, Texas, is right around the corner. And this makes us really happy to see that we are able to spin up and create new locations and POPs with these strong partners. And this is great success for us and of course for our customers, because with this we strengthened our worldwide footprint, and even more, we provide our customers with greater options to host their game servers. As mentioned in the beginning, we are working with some of the biggest players in the gaming industry, like Studio Wildcard, Bohemia Interactive, Giants. These gaming companies have very high demands in regards of availability, reliability, and of course network latency, because in gaming it's always important you have the best latency to your server to not get shot, or to have the best options when you are in a battle or building something. And this makes it even more important for us to have high quality partners to host and operate our business. We heavily support these studios with infrastructure, live game operation solution through our product Enterprise Console and Steel Shield, which is a tailored anti-DDoS solution for online games. When we think about challenges within the gaming industry, not only DDoS protection and infrastructure is challenging, but there are also effects nobody can foresee, which put you in positions which you never thought of. So early 2020, the world got hit by a global pandemic with several lockdowns included. And one thing people did while staying at home is gaming, a lot of gaming. And the next slide, you can see a CCU graph of Steam, which is the largest platform for online games on the planet. And the little A on the right is the first lockdown. And not only on Steam, the concurrent players went up. It also, our business skyrocketed to that point in time. And of course, this brought up some challenges, and the challenges we faced, where we need to meet the immense demand of game servers worldwide immediately. And this always leads to a lot of things which need to happen in really little time. We needed to extend our data centers. We needed to purchase new hardware, build up our internal resources to professionalize our company, to structure, to increase our overall product quality. And one thing which was really helpful and most helpful basically was the strong partnership with G-Core, between G-Core and Nitrado. G-Core supported us a lot during this growth phase with external capacity, bare metal capacity, in the locations they can provide. Because what we do we call them burst scenarios. So if we have high demand or immediately high demand, we are scaling out. And of course, we use G-Core with that. And in this phase where COVID kicked in and the lockdowns came and our business was growing insane, we are very happy to have G-Core on our side to help us. Oh, that was one too much. Sorry. why we extended our infrastructure together with G-Core and Equinix to Tokyo and Sao Paulo and Dallas in some weeks. We also started to collaborate even more, also on a network level, where we use G-Core as an IP transit provider to maximize our throughput for DDoS scenarios, and also, of course, to optimize our latency for our customers. Because as Andre also mentioned in the beginning, for players, it's key to have the best latency to their game server or to their teams which they play with. So overall, in the last 1.5 years, they were challenging, but more than successful in all regards. So game industry is growing fast, and there is no end in sight. And that was it from me. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much for that, Felix. That was a hugely helpful and instructive look at the specific technology challenges that Nitrado has faced, and how you've used kind of G-Core Labs and Equinix infrastructure to tackle some of those. So very much appreciated for those insights there. That brings us to the conclusion of the presentations, and we move on now to a Q&A session. If audiences have questions, the audience has questions, they can enter them in the panel. I can see one question, a couple of questions. Let me just start. So I think this one would be for Seva, perhaps Seva, and also Michel, if we could have those on the mic. And we have a question from, I think it's Rainer, asking, how fast can you solve the problem of DDoS attacks?
Yeah, so from the DDoS protection, depends on the case. Yep. So we're looking for the application profile, and the end customer doesn't see any kind of the problems, because we filter in this traffic. So we really close works with the end customer when we provide the advanced DDoS protection, try to find the right profiles for the end application. For example, for the gaming, especially Counter-Strike or specific kind of the gaming. So we provide the legacy traffic and try to elaborate that. So for the end customer, we can provide so we have the predefined profiles which customer can apply for their application. So we have the huge list of the templates which they can enable. And when you enable the advanced DDoS protection, so it will be for a few seconds, we will filter your traffic per instance or per IP address.
Cool. Thank you, Seva. Michel, would you have anything to add to that from your perspective?
Yeah, so as Equinix, we enable direct connectivity to any DDoS protection service. So it means that if you're under attack, the scrubbing will be done by G-Core Labs, but because the fact that the connectivity to G-Core Labs is really quick and low latency and high throughput, if your traffic is redirected towards a G-Core Labs scrubbing server, your end user will hardly notice it, because the connectivity is so good in between both environments that in the end your clean traffic will end up with your application server, if that's hosted with Equinix, within a few milliseconds. So basically what you get is a seamless experience from an end user perspective.
Cool. Thank you.
If I may,
yes.
If I may add, our DDoS protection was optimized especially for gaming, because there are a lot of DDoS protection on the market. But the main issue, especially for gaming, that low latency is a requirement. And if you use a regular DDoS protection, sometimes the scrubbing center is focused on some regions, which leads to latency. So even if you start to clean the traffic, you have an impact on the quality. And this is already something cyber attackers and hackers already achieve the result. So our focus is to clean the traffic exactly at the point where your product is happening, and especially because of CDN infrastructure, we can swallow really big DDoS attacks with low latency.
Cool. Thank you very much there, Andre. We've got an interesting question here, which I think it would be useful to hear Felix's opinion on. A question very much from an end user perspective. The question is from Sven. How do I know whether my business needs to increase its own technical capacities or whether it's more worthwhile to apply for an already made infrastructure? Felix, is Felix on the mic? There he is.
No, I am.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Did you catch that, Felix?
Let me quickly read through it. So yeah, this is a really good question. So we also have this challenge every time we see an increase or a seasonality effect. So if we see an increase in business and we need more capacity, we always think ourselves, okay, is this a thing which will be maybe drop in a month or so? So especially in gaming, it's like that you have a new game which is being released, and then usually there's a very high peak in the beginning with a lot of players trying out the game, and then of course you as a business owner, you need to sit down and think, okay, do I want to purchase hardware into my own in my own data centers and have my own capacity ready for the launch, or do I do a mixed setup here? So we have some kind of a base capacity in our own data centers where we can have a very good baseline on players, or serve a good baseline on players, and then have this burst capacity, which I mentioned in my talk, on top, for example, on G-Core Labs bare metal servers worldwide, and have them on a smaller runtime contractual wise. So, for example, just be prepared for the first 3 months of a game launch and have some burst capacity ready. So this is how we look at it. So from a seasonality effect and also from a game launch or update perspective. So we renting burst capacity and maintain a base capacity in our own data centers.
Great stuff. Thank you for that. Really a helpful answer there. Just looking through some of the other questions, and while we've got Andre up as well. Andre, during your presentation, you mentioned some of the challenges organizations typically face and the capabilities that they're looking for. We've talked about G-Core Labs capabilities in low latency, fast delivery of heavy content, attributes that are great for gaming. I mean, which other industry segments do you think those attributes are appropriate for? Which other industry sectors could benefit from that low latency, high performance, fast delivery of content?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and one of the most important ones is nowadays, especially healthcare, and it happened especially since COVID, because you have to apply not only low latency. Of course, latency is important; it's getting more important, especially when AR and VR coming in place, where you have need to have latency even below 5 milliseconds, or ideally even less, in order to perform activities, up to surgeries remotely. And another aspect is that you have to comply with GDPR. So if your customers are all over the world, and it's a B2C business sometimes, you need to have the data stored in the country of origin of the traffic, on the origin of the data. So healthcare is definitely one of the verticals requiring this global infrastructure.
Cool, thank you, Andre. And if we could just hand the presenter rights to Michel at Equinix for a moment. I've got a question that I think would be appropriate for him. Hi there, Michel. You kind of talk about some of the requirements that kind of Equinix can help fulfill for businesses with the international ambitions. I mean, are there any areas that present particular challenges when it comes to working with customers to enable what they're requesting from you? Are there some areas trickier than others, or certain technical considerations that businesses need to be aware of?
Yeah, when I talk with my customers, the majority of them have a cloud-first strategy. So you have the challenge of moving their applications into the cloud. And ideally, you would move everything into the public cloud, but that's not always viable. I think Andre touched a very important point about data management. Some of my customers are really heavy into R&D, and they are reluctant to move the data into the public cloud. So what you can do, and with Equinix we call it a data hub, You can store your data on-prem, but still have your compute in the cloud. And that's what we call a hybrid setup. And usually we combine that also with multi-cloud because, majority of my customers, they don't focus on a single cloud provider. They have a multi-cloud strategy. So I would say the challenges that my customers have are basically hybrid multi-cloud with a very strong focus on data management, being compliant with local regulations, country regulations. Some countries do require that you store data about their citizens in their country. So being able to combine on-prem with cloud, that's one of the major challenges. And obviously what you want to have then is have low latency and a seamless experience, no matter where you deploy, either in the cloud or on-prem. You always want to be able to present your end customer with the same performance. That's it in a nutshell.
Cool. Thank you very much for that. I think we've got time, just looking at the clock, for a couple more questions. If I could bring Seva onto the line. We heard Michel talk there about multi-cloud strategies and kind of a mix of on-premise and a mix of kind of public cloud, etc. We've got a question here, and it'd be interesting to understand how you help customers to address this, Seva. The question is, how can I understand when it's time to switch from localized storage to cloud-based storage? Where does that kind of question typically fit for the organizations that we advise?
Yeah, so this is the good question. So first of all, we really support the multi-cloud strategy for our customers, and we fully understand that if your end application ready to bring in any kind of cloud providers, and you can create a federated solution or orchestration to the public cloud providers, it's a good stuff, and a good way to bring your business. So in this case, we provide the REST API and platform provider to manage your infrastructure as a code. So you can create your infrastructure in AWS, GCP, Azure, and G-Core Cloud as well. And also with Equinix Fabric, you can create the interconnection between the public clouds. Also, we have an option when we can deliver our public solution and public cloud as a private solution. So we can provide the appliance where we can install all our services and all our reference architecture and the hardware part and the software part on premise. The reason why the customers would like to move their storage or the infrastructure from private installation or on-premise infrastructure to the public clouds. So we can set the several points. The first of all, it's about the TCO. For example, if we can compare in the short term or the long term, so in the specific cases, public cloud will be more efficient if we compare with the on-prem solution. Yeah, for example, you don't care about the updates your hardware. You don't care about the maintaining your hardware. So, and all the things will be covered by the public provider. And also one of the important thing, which Felix also mentioned today, about the on-demand capacity, right? So you have the season peaks, for example, or you need more capacity for the on-demand perspective. So you need to set the requirements for your project. After that, so you communicate with the procurement team, buy the new hardware, waiting for the shipment, this hardware, install, and after that, so you have the available capacity. So this is the long-term way, especially from the last year, maybe this year, especially if you would like to have the new hardware, so you need to wait a long time, right? So from the public cloud perspective, so we can grant the necessary amount of the volume or resources in the minutes. Yep. From the other hand, right? So the big companies, enterprise companies, or the companies who works with the sensitive data, these companies have the problem to store the data in the public cloud, right? So you mentioned that. So okay, so I don't know. So it will be encrypted, or somebody can take my data from the public cloud, or a cloud provider can take that. So in this case, we also provide the option when we can deliver the all layers of encryption, right? So the first is data at rest, when we encrypt your volume, data in transfer, when we encrypt your data which you send to the internet, for example, or per private IP transit or interconnect. And the last one, the new one, which we also provide for the end customer, is data in use, when your end application store your data in the memory, in the RAM, right? So in our option to provide the virtual instances or bare metal instances with the Intel SJX feature, when we can enable the option to encrypt your memory. Yeah, so in this case, you can store your data with zero trust, security, and architecture in this mind. Yeah. So, by the way, so we provide the all options when we can deliver the public cloud with the all encryption and the DDoS protection. We can deliver the private solution for the end customer who would like to have the all services and solutions on their data center. And also we can provide the hybrid solution where we can connect the private installation to our public cloud and manage all of this region, private and public, from the single place, from the single dashboard and REST API. And also we have the several integration with multi-cloud platforms where we can bring the new virtual instance bare metal or managed Kubernetes from the single place in AWS, GCP, and G-Core as well.
Cool. Thank you very much, Seva. I'm aware we're coming to the end of our allotted time, but I do want to ask Felix just one more question, if we could bring him back for a second, please. Hi there, Felix.
Hi.
So we've heard a lot today, kind of lots of useful information to take away, lots of useful kind of practical advice and guidance as well. I just wanted to kind of look at kind of where next from here. You know, we talked earlier in the presentation about potential evolution of gaming, of technology delivery, with things mentioned like the metaverse, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, etc. I mean, Nitrado, clearly a company at the very vanguard of delivery, of content delivery and high performance experiences. Kind of where next for you? What are the areas you're looking to develop, and what are your technological priorities as you look forward over the next 18 months and 2 years?
Yeah, so from a business perspective, we are definitely looking into the Asian market at the moment. So as said in my talk, we just launched Tokyo location just together with G-Core and Equinix, and this works out really well. We see a lot of growth potential there, and together with our Singapore location, we have a really strong presence there now. And now we want to grow the business. We want to bring the brand Nitrado, Apex, and MC pre-hosting also in this market. And to conquer there a segment of the share. And in regards of technology, we are strongly investing in our infrastructure, making it more reliable for our customers, improving our product with also technologies like Kubernetes and other DDoS solutions, which we leverage to protect our customers. So yeah, a lot of things to do in the next 18 months, and yeah, most definitely it's the Asian market which we want to conquer.
Cool. Thank you so much for that, Felix. A great way to conclude the debate. So that brings us to the end of today's webinar, Evolving Your Business Through Digital First Architectures, which was hosted by G-Core Labs and Equinix. I'd like to thank all of the participants. So that's Michel, Andre, Seva, and Felix. And I'd like to thank everybody who attended today. I hope you found the session useful, and for all of those participants that asked questions too. Thank you for those who promoted a really enjoyable and interesting discussion. Thanks for your time, everyone. Bye-bye.